Well, welcome back. Now, the news is quite worrying at the moment, as you've seen there. It can be really hard to talk to your children about it.
Well, we're joined in the studio now by psychologist Anna Colton. We have had loads of calls for her this morning, so let's get straight to Sarah. Hiya, Sarah.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi, right, OK, this is your 12-year-old son.
Yeah, I'm just a bit worried, really, because obviously he's seen the news, he's seeing and hearing what's going on, and he was in tears about it the other day. He's a sensitive soul, and obviously he's 12, and he's getting regular news updates on his phone, so it's always there, and he's always reminded of it. And I just don't know how to balance it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is worrying. The news is worrying, and it's appropriate for him to be having lots of feelings about what he's reading on his phone. If you can help him to realise that that's fine, help him to talk to you about it, think about how you can reassure him that if he doesn't check too often, nothing will happen. Because the problem is that when we feel worried about something, the brain pulls us back to it. It's our safety mechanism. Anxiety is there to keep us protected.
The trouble is with him, it sounds like that they're news alerts that are coming on it on his phone.
Right. It's like you know when they come up, because he's got the watch as well.
Oh, yeah.
But you can switch that bit off. Yeah.
I would really help him switch the news alerts off and reassure him that's fine to switch the news alerts off. Maybe, you know, set a time when he checks, maybe in the morning and the evening, and you can be with him at that time so that you can try and help him manage his feelings when he's watching it. It's really tempting to keep looking at bad news, and our brain makes us want to do that. But it's also incredibly unhelpful, and it makes us feel worse and worse and worse.
Can I just say, when you then say, right, OK, let's sit down and let's watch the news for older children, if that's what you wanted to do, or news round for younger children, whatever it is. The problem is, in order to make them feel better about it, you want to tell them it's going to be OK, but you don't want to lie.
So you can do both, because you can say there is this war, and it is serious, but it's a long way from here, and we're safe. So you can give both messages, because that's the reality at the moment. We're incredibly lucky it's not here. So reassuring them that they are safe, they're safe with you, we're safe in the UK, is really important. And you can do that as well as. It's always both and rather than either or, if that makes sense, you know. Watch it with them, talk to them about it, think about the message you want to give your kids about, you know, whether it's about safety, whether it's about the importance of politics and voting and it really mattering.
So you would recommend that Sarah says to her son, right, let's knock off those alerts now. Let's stop that, and let's not overload on news. I mean, you can do that, and we were doing that. We were talking about that in the early days of the pandemic. You know, you watched it all the time, and before you knew it, your head was constantly full of it.
And it doesn't make anything better. It just makes it worse. It doesn't give you strategies for how to cope. It doesn't make you feel empowered. It doesn't make you feel like you can cope. It just drags you straight into the centre of the anxiety and feeling overwhelmed.
So a centralised news report at the end of the day from a source that is appropriate for whatever child that you're with.
Absolutely. And also think about delivering a message along with it. This is very distressing. It's, you know, it's lovely that you have so much empathy. That's a really important human quality. We're safe here now. And then, as I was saying, you know, just a moment ago, if you want to put a message alongside it, like this is why it's so important that you vote when you get old enough, politics is a real live thing, however you do it, you can it's a brilliant opportunity for open conversations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of positive. The stories that we were talking about this morning of people helping strangers, crossing the border and, you know, come in to our house and we'll look after you. There's a lot of positive to be had out of that.
There is.
Just what Susan says, my 14-year-old girl is worried about what's going on in the Ukraine. I try to reassure her, but they are seeing so much on the internet which isn't really helping. I don't want to be controlling, but how do I manage the situation? Very hard with the older ones, because you can't take their phones away. It's so much ingrained in part of their social lives and their work, school lives as well. But they are viewing stuff on there.
And they're viewing probably too often and too much. And it's you know, it's doom scrolling, isn't it? When you just scroll for more and more confirmation that the bad thing is happening. So, again, it's coming alongside your teenager and saying, right, how can we together make a plan that might make you feel a bit better? Can you just check, you know, maybe 3 times a day? Maybe don't look at the Ukraine stories in between lessons, because that'll make you feel really worried. And do the thinking with them. So, you know, It's not telling them how to think. It's being really curious. What are you hearing it? Where are you hearing it from? What sources do you use? Where do you get your news? So that you can have a conversation about different sources, about what to believe, about how to think about it, how to manage the anxiety. It is an anxiety-provoking time. Again, it's a long way away. We're safe.
Because also a lot of rolling news that you get on your phone is the knee-jerk headline. So you'll get something that could be happening, and then later on it's clarified and it's not quite what you thought it might be. If you wait until the conglomeration at the end of the day, everyone's got their thoughts together. You know a few more facts, and you're sifting out the stuff that was actually a little bit scary and knee-jerk.
Exactly, and you sift out the sources that are unreliable, because there's an awful lot of both fake news and incorrect news out there, and it's really an important skill to teach our young people how to spot it, how to know it, and where to gather their sources from.
Because there is a possibility, and I suppose we have to be real here, that fake news could be used as a weapon itself, and so therefore you have to be very careful about what you read, because that is something that has been used in the past.
Right, and the messages that our kids receive that make them anxious and draw them down into that kind of vicious spiral of anxiety, of overwhelm, of distress, we need to help them navigate that. So again, coming alongside, leaving the room for conversation open all the time. Whenever you have a question or a query, or you feel worried or distressed, come and talk to me. Rather than if. When we say when to them, the door is completely open. If we say if, we're giving them an option.
I think a lot of parents are finding it difficult. Sarah sums this up. She says, how do I stop my children being as nervous as me? I'm absolutely petrified. I've taken time off work to close my children's school just in case the worst happens. How do I make sure my children don't pick up on my anxiety? And that's hard. That's
really hard. And if you've taken time off work, you are communicating that threat is high. And actually, it is a really worrying time, and it's awful for Ukrainians. It's horrendous. We are safe. And so it's about working out what's proportional anxiety or proportionate anxiety. And at the moment, needing to take time off work is probably a little bit too much. And that will directly communicate, because our kids don't learn from what we say, actually. They learn from what we do and how we model. So the minute that we display high levels of anxiety, even if we say we're safe, but our behaviour is opposite, they won't listen to the words. They'll go, Mummy's stopped working. There's something really wrong.
Yeah.
And so it's about thinking, how do I process my stuff and not use them to process my stuff? It's hard. You know, I'm not saying it's easy, it's really hard.
Yeah.
But how do I do that? And how do I process that outside so that when I'm with them, I can actually communicate through what I do and how I act, that it's okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for your calls as well. We'll be right back with more after this.